There are places in this world that humans were never meant to enter, and St. Wilson Memorial Hospital was one of them. It was 2:45 a.m. The long, empty corridors echoed with the faint buzzing of flickering lights. The night guard, Reef, sat in the security room, half asleep, watching the camera screens. Everything looked normal, until camera caught his attention. Ward number 19. A room that had been sealed for 9 years. A room nobody ever talked about. A room everyone was ordered to never open. But on the screen, the door was open. Reef frowned. No staff was allowed anywhere near that wing at night. Holding his flashlight tightly, he began walking down the hallway. The hospital felt strangely alive, like the walls were breathing, like something was quietly observing him. He heard soft breathing behind him, but when he turned, no one was there. He reached Ward 19. The door was half open, just like the camera showed. The darkness inside was so deep that the light of his flashlight just faded into it. Reef slowly pushed the door. Inside, there was a single hospital bed, and on that bed lay a man wrapped completely in bandages, from head to toe. Only his eyes were visible, wide, unblinking, staring directly at Reef. Reef swallowed nervously. "Can you hear me?" he asked softly. The man's eyes shifted slowly, as if saying yes. Reef stepped closer, and that's when he noticed the walls. They were covered in scratch marks, deeply carved with nails, words carved over and over. "Don't open the door. He is not dead. He's still in there." Reef felt his heartbeat in his ears. He whispered, "Who did this to you? The doctors? The staff?" The man's eyes slowly curved into a smile, but his lips were covered by bandages. He should not have been able to smile. Then he spoke, but the voice wasn't human. It was deeper, layered, like two voices speaking at once. "They didn't lock me in here to save me. They locked me in to save you." Reef froze. Then, from under the bed, a hand slowly reached out, then twisted, veins black like ink. Reef stumbled backwards, but the lights began to flicker violently. The breathing grew louder, closer, right behind him. He turned slowly, and there was a figure standing in the corner. Tall, motionless, shadowed, its eyes glowing dimly red in the dark. The man on the bed whispered. He came back. The lights went out. There was only darkness. The sound of a screeching scream echoed through the entire hospital, and by the time the staff arrived in the morning, Ward 19's door was locked again. The bed was empty. No one ever found Reef. No one ever admitted he existed. The security footage, every second of it was erased. To this day, the hospital still stands. The staff still avoids the east hallway, and if you ever walk past Ward 19, you might hear faint breathing from inside, as if someone is still waiting.
Morning came. The hospital looked normal. Patients, nurses, visitors, everyone acting like nothing happened. But one person noticed something was wrong. Nurse Emily, the newest staff member. She had seen Arif every single night shift since she joined. But now, his desk was empty. His jacket still hung on the chair. His coffee cup, still warm. Like he had just stepped away. But he never returned. Emily asked around, "Where's Arif?" The senior nurse looked up slowly, her face pale. "There is no guard named Arif here," she said. Emily froze. "No. I talk to him every night. He works the security room. Camera hall." The senior nurse shook her head. "We haven't assigned a night guard for 3 months." Emily felt cold spreading down her spine. Someone was lying, or something was. That night, Emily couldn't sleep. Arif's face wouldn't leave her mind. His tired smile, his calm voice. If he didn't exist, why did she remember him so clearly? She returned to the hospital that night. Not on shift. Not officially. Just to look. The hallways felt different at night. Silent. Hollow. Like the building was listening. She walked to the security room. The chair was still there. The screen still flickering with static lines. She sat down. Camera 4. Ward 19. Closed. Silent. Normal. Until 2:45 a.m. The door began to move. But no one was there. No shadow. No hand. No movement. And yet the door slowly opened. Exactly like before. Emily whispered, "Arif, are you there?" No answer. But on the screen, something stepped into frame. Not a person. Not a ghost. A figure, tall, thin, bones pressing through the skin, head tilted unnaturally. It moved in a way no human body should move, like its joints were too loose, or too many. It stood in the doorway, facing the camera. No face. Just pale skin where the face should be. And then it turned its head. Not toward the hallway. Not toward the bed. It turned its head toward Emily, as if it could see her through the camera. The screen flickered and the figure was gone. Emily's breathing was broken and fast. But then footsteps. Behind her. Slow. Heavy. Dragging. She didn't turn. She couldn't. The footsteps stopped right behind her chair. Silence. Then a voice, but not a voice from a living throat. A whisper layered with another whisper behind it. "Why did you come back?" Emily finally turned. But there was nothing. Only cold air. The hallway behind her, leading straight toward 19, was wide open. And the door at the end of it was slowly closing by itself. Click! Locked. The lights flickered and the security screens glitched. For a moment, just one short second, the camera showed Arif, standing in Ward 19. Not breathing, not moving, just standing, watching the door. The screen glitched again. Arif was gone. Ward 19 was empty. The hallway was silent. Emily backed away, whispering, "What is happening here?" And from somewhere inside the vents deep inside the hospital walls, the breathing started again. Slow. Not human. Waiting. Watching. Nurse Emily did not return home that night. She walked out of the security room, her hands trembling, her breath shallow, but her feet moved as if something pulled her, rather than her choosing to walk. The hallways were quiet again. Too quiet. Hospitals are supposed to feel sterile, bright, alive, but at night, St. Wilson felt like a body with no heartbeat. A shell. Empty, but somehow still aware. Emily walked past the patient wards, past the nurse station, past the supply rooms. Everything felt wrong now. Almost like the walls were listening. Almost like the lights flickered a bit only when she passed under them, like they recognized her. She kept replaying the security footage in her mind, brief, standing in Ward 19. Still. Silent. Not dead. Not alive. Something in dash between. Emily stopped near a window overlooking the courtyard. Night wind moved the trees, but the glass felt warm to her touch, like it was radiating heat from inside the hospital. She whispered to herself, "Greater than I shouldn't be here." But she did not leave. Because the worst part was she didn't want to leave. Something in her chest felt tied to the door. Ward 19. Like a thread pulling her closer. Like memory. Or hunger. Or destiny. Flashback 7 years ago. Unknown to Emily, St. Wilson Hospital once had an experimental psychiatric wing. Patients who claimed to see things, hear voices, or speak to unseen presences were treated here. One patient, however, was different. No name. No identity. Found unconscious on a rural highway, covered in deep scars. He never spoke, but he looked at people in a way that made nurses feel like he could see behind their eyes. When doctors tried to examine him, equipment malfunctioned. Light bulbs burst. Heart monitors spiked without cause. Shadows flickered across walls though nothing moved. The staff began calling him, the patient in bandages. The silent one. The echo. But the oldest staff knew another name. One they whispered like a curse, the returning. Because whatever he was, he had been here before. And he always came back. No matter how many times he was sedated, restrained, isolated, he would appear again in Ward 19. As if the hospital itself was calling him. Back to Emily. Emily finally reached the east hallway. The floor here was different. The tiles were darker, older, and the air smelled of iron and dust. This wing was supposed to be closed years ago. No patients, no staff, no activity. But the power was still connected. Lights still worked. And the hallway felt used. Her footsteps echoed louder here, as if sound was amplified, or the walls were closer together than they should be. At the end of the hallway, Ward 19. The door stood silent, closed now. Not open like before. But something else was different. A breathing sound. Slow. Steady. Coming from behind the door. Emily reached out. Her hand hovered over the handle. Her heart pounded so hard she could feel it in her teeth. She whispered, "Arif, if you're in there, I'm sorry." She slowly turned the handle. It clicked. The door didn't push open, it pulled itself inward, as if something on the other side was already waiting. The room was dark. No lights. No moon. No electricity humming. Only darkness, thick and suffocating. Emily raised her phone flashlight. The beam barely cut through the black. The room looked the same. One bed, one chair, peeling walls, but the bed was empty. No bandaged man. No figure. No signs of anyone. Except, on the wall next to the bed, fresh scratches. Deep. Violent. desperate. Words carved in crooked, uneven letters. "He hears you." Emily took a shaky step backward. Suddenly the door slammed shut behind her. She jumped, spinning around. The handle wouldn't move. Her flashlight flickered. And then she heard it. Breathing. Not human. Wet. Labored. Coming from right behind her ear. Emily froze. Her fingers shook. She did not turn. Every instinct screamed, "Do not look." A whisper crawled into her ear. "You remember me." Emily gasped, and suddenly she saw a flash of a memory that wasn't hers. Blood. Screaming. A gurney racing down a hallway. Hands holding her down. Her own voice screaming. "Don't let him touch me." She staggered, clutching her skull. She had been here before, but that was impossible. She had been hired only 3 months ago. But memory doesn't lie. Not this kind. She turned. The bandaged man was standing in the corner. Not lying in the bed. Not restrained. Standing. Straight. Still, wrapped head to toe. Bandages stained with old brown blood. Only his eyes visible. Cold. Empty. Endless. Emily whispered. "What are you?" The figure tilted its head. The bandages around its jaw tore slightly, not from talking, but because something inside moved. And then the voice came, the same layered voice Arif heard. The same voice that never belonged to a human throat. "You were the first to see me." Emily's eyes widened. Her throat tightened. No, I don't remember." The figure stepped forward. Not walking. Sliding. Like gravity didn't apply to him. "You do." Emily's knees weakened. Memories ripped open in her mind. Flashback. Emily's forgotten past. She was not just hired at Steady Wilson. She was admitted. 7 years ago. Patient number 47. Diagnosed with acute visual hallucination and dissociative trauma. She had seen the bandaged man before. He had followed her even before the hospital. He visited her dreams. He whispered to her when she was alone. He waited behind her reflection. She had begged doctors to make it stop. They didn't. They erased her memory instead. But memory does not die. It waits. Just like he does. Back to present. Emily sank to the floor. Tears streamed down her face, not from fear, but from the shock of remembering who she really was. She wasn't new. She wasn't normal. She wasn't just a nurse. She was the only survivor of the original Ward 19 incident. The reason the ward was sealed. The reason the bandaged men remained trapped. The bandaged figure knelt in front of her. He did not touch her, but she felt his presence press into her chest. Like gravity. Like inevitability. "You opened the door. So now, I can walk again," Emily whispered. Voice broken. "What do you want from me?" The figure leaned closer. His eyes were not eyes anymore. They were holes. Dark. Deep. Endless. To remember. To return. To finish. Finish what? Emily didn't want to ask, but something in her already knew. The hospital didn't contain him. It belonged to him. The walls. The halls. The patients. The silence. Everything here was an echo of him. And Emily was the link. The first to see him. The first to hear him. The first to let him in. She was never just a survivor. She was the doorway. The room begins to change. The walls pulsed. Literally pulsed like veins under skin. The floor darkened, spreading like ink. The room felt like it was breathing with him. The bandaged man rose to his feet, towering over her. It begins again. Emily's flashlight died, but she saw everything. Not with her eyes, but with the part of her mind that had always remembered. The hospital lights flickered red. An alarm somewhere began to scream. Nurses ran. Patients panicked. Doors slammed. The hospital knew he was awake. The building was alive with fear. Emily whispered through tears, "I never escaped, did I?" The bandaged figure stepped back toward the door. It opened silently. He did not look back. He walked out. Into the hallway. Into the hospital. Into the world that had forgotten him. Emily sat alone in Ward 19. But the door was open now. Wide. Unlocked. Inviting. And the hospital began to change. If you watch this full video and don't like and subscribe, then you face this incident in future. VB. Now like this video and subscribe my channel and comment if you are not scared.